right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Thank you very much, Josh. Nice to talk to you. Nice to talk to Ray. And now we'll talk to other people. All you have to do to talk to us is call 412-575-2600. You know the drill. I'm here taking your phone calls until 11 o'clock tonight. Want to hear from you about the topics of the day and also of the week. Whatever you'd like to talk about is fair game as the Steelers head through 2 days of OTAs. Tomorrow will be day 3. They'll have another one Thursday and then some time off before they gather again next week. In the meantime, the Pirates are still playing, and that's a good thing because they were down 6-4 in the top of the ninth. O'Brien, the closer of the Cardinals, had some problems there, hit a couple of guys. Next thing you know, it's Spencer Horwitz who pinch hit tonight for Joe Stinson Garcia, who was in his debut and did have a hit. I was going to be interested to see how Donnie Kelly played that. He went with a veteran who's been hot, and he came through with a game-tying RBI to make it 6-6. This after the Pirate bullpen had given up runs again. I had a big question about in 5 2/3 why Mitch Keller was taken out of the game. He went to Evan Sisk and immediately gave up a 2-run home run. And then Brandon Bidwell came in and gave up another home run. And so you're thinking to yourself, they're going to lose this game again. And once again, the bullpen has no help. But their bullpen gave up 2 in the top of the ninth, as they said. And next thing you know, it's 6-6. It's in the bottom of the ninth right now with Gregory Soto on. We'll keep you abreast of that as we move along. In the meantime, we'll talk about the stretch for the Pirates because it is a very important stretch. I know it's May heading into June, but still, they have 10 games coming up against really good teams. This St. Louis team, which just swept them last week in Pittsburgh. Then you have the team that represented the American League last year in the World Series, Toronto Blue Jays. And then next week at home, the first of 4 games against the first-place Chicago Cubs. So this 10-game stretch, which is why this game today is so important. They got to somehow figure it out and win it if it goes to extra innings. And if so, gives that trip off to a good start. And it is headed there. 10 innings coming up. And I wonder who's going to pitch the bottom of the 10th. Gregory Soto made pretty quick work with the Cardinals in the bottom of the 9th. Will he come out again in the 10th? Or will they go with Santana, who's been roughed up a lot lately? Or do they go with Mason Montgomery? There are options there. We'll see what the Cardinals do in the top of the 10th. And as I said, we'll keep you abreast of that. The other thing that's really starting to become a worrisome thing is Marcell Ozuna. Ozuna, again tonight, just couldn't get anything done. He's batting 180 right now, an OPS in the 500s, and that's not what they paid for when they acquired somebody who was supposed to be their designated hitter. $12 million a year, 1 year. He had a bad year last year. They were hoping he could go back to 2 years ago when he was in the contention for MVP of the National League, but so far, it's not happening. He grounded into a double play in the top of the ninth inning, which could have actually hurt their cause. So Horwitz bailed him out with that RBI single. So those are still issues with the Pirates. They got to get settled out here before too long, or else they're going to be digging a hole that's too hard to get out of. All right, as far as the Steelers are concerned, again, the big news yesterday was Rodgers back, taking first-team snaps. People overreacted, I thought, to the fact that Will Howard's taking second-team snaps. I mean, it is OTAs. It is May 19th. These things happen. They're going to try different kind of situations for everyone involved. That includes offensive line. Combinations that you may not see unless it's in OTA. So that's what this time is all about. I think a reasonable question to ask is how many quarterbacks do they keep on the roster? Almost never do they keep 4. Most teams don't keep 4. But if there's a team that may need 4, it may be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I say that only because Rodgers is up there in age, as you know. One hit the wrong way can knock him out. And then you have 2 unproven guys and Mason Rudolph. Rudolph, you would think, would be the backup because he's the veteran and he gives you opportunities in case there's an injury to Aaron Rodgers. But what about the other 2 guys? They would have no experience coming in to be a backup on a season that they don't want to, just waste away. They want to be competitive. And so that's going to be an interesting thing to follow throughout training camp and then into the preseason games. So we'll talk about that. Anything else you want to talk about? Interesting matchups coming up in the NHL Eastern Conference Finals. You got Montreal, which eliminated Buffalo last night, taking on a well-rested Carolina team. They've had 12 days off, and that's a lot. I don't care, it could help certainly, but it can also hurt. We've seen teams that, miss a lot of time. All of a sudden, what do? Wasting 12 days waiting for an opponent, and you come out and you are not as sharp. I think the Penguins found that out in their first couple of games against Philadelphia. So can Montreal take advantage of it? They had to do it the hard way. They went through 7-game series, 14 total games. They won 2 Game 7s, and here they are trying to knock off Carolina. We'll get into all that and more. Call 412-575-2600. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on KDKA+. All right, this is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Tamar Schur, who says, look at this crazy stat. This is about Connor Griffin. Born in 2006, Connor Griffin is the first player to play at Busch Stadium that is younger than the stadium, which is something. But he and J.J. Weatherholt, two of the big, bright young stars in the game of baseball, were on the field tonight. Weatherholt did have a 2-run home run against the Pirates early on. Connor Griffin's gone on base a couple of times, but as I said, they're 6-6 right now, top of the 11th. Big game tonight for Chase Burns of the Cincinnati Reds. They beat a red-hot Philadelphia team 4-1. Burns is now 6-1 for Cincinnati with a 1.83 ERA, and he puts himself right in the middle of a Cy Young competition. I know it's early to discuss that, but if you're going to look at guys who should be considered, then you'd have to say Chase Burns. Milwaukee beat the Cubs for the second day in a row, and I believe Milwaukee then jumps over Chicago in the first place. So Cubs could be cooling off. Milwaukee continues to do it. I don't know how they do it. They lose players every year, but they just rekindle them, bring in guys from the minors, and they all seem to work. All right, let's get to the lines at 412-575-2600. Our first caller tonight, and he's our number one Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night, would be Kimmy in Mount Pleasant. Hello, Kimmy. How are you?
Hi, Bob. It's Kimmy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Listen, I need to know if you're going to the John Daly golf outing at Pleasant Valley. They just brought back the chef, and I bought you a tie.
All right. Yeah, for that reason, absolutely. I'll be there. That's always a fun event.
Okay, absolutely. I'll see you there.
All right. Yeah, Pleasant Valley. It's a nice time. John Daly comes in every year, puts on quite a show, and also does some singing as the night progresses, as you would expect. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate that.
Yes.
All right. Have a good night.
And then we can talk about we can talk about Rogers and the Pirates then when I see you.
Well, we'll know a lot more about the Pirates. That's in July, right? July 1st is that event. So as far as the Steelers, we're not going to know much until they actually start playing games, I think, in the preseason. Thanks for the call. Let's go to David in Finleyville. Hey, David, how are you?
Hi, thank you for taking my call. How are you tonight?
Good, thanks. What's up?
If Toronto, I would like to ask you if there was a trade for Malkin, would you trade him for Austin Matthews? I'll hang up and listen to you.
Well, it's going to take a lot more than that, David. If you're going to try to get Austin Matthews, you're going to have to give up a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm talking about first-round picks, current players. I don't think they have enough to do that, quite frankly. So I'm not sure if that's something that's even worth discussing, because I don't think the Penguins have what it would need to get him away from Toronto. So, they have an opportunity to do some other things. There are not all that many free agents out there, and I think Anthony Mantha will probably take advantage of that because he's the only one of them who had over 30 goals. He did not do much in the playoffs, but at the same time, he had a very good regular season, so his price of poker will be going up. As far as the Penguins are concerned, I mean, you can always get into restricted free agents, but the problem with that is you're going to have to give up 4 number 1 picks, and I don't think they want to do that either. So most likely they'll make some trades, but they're not going to be seismic in nature, you know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes as this continues. All right, let's go out to Dominic, who's in Allison Park. Hello, Dominic. How are you?
Hey, Bob. I just wanted to talk about the QBs. I don't think they're going to be carrying 4 QBs. Starkey brought it up on the air today that the only team to carry 4 QBs last year was the Cleveland Browns. We definitely do not want to be following out in that.
No. But what do you do if you have a 42, soon-to-be 43-year-old quarterback and something happens to him? Are you willing to trust 2 guys who've never played, or do you want to have Mason, or do you want to try to figure out a way to keep him? And you may be creative, by the way, in doing this. You can come up with some kind of injury that affects some of them and, puts them on an injury list for a while anyway.
Well, I think you go with the young guys. Start with Will Howard. He'll get the first crack. And then, you got Drew Aller. And then with Rudolph, I think he's going to be traded because somehow the Browns got, once again, somehow they got a 5th-round pick for Kenny Pickett last year because the Raiders were desperate for a QB. I mean, there's going to be someone else that their QB gets hurt and they're going to get desperate. And we might be able to get a 5th, 6th, or 7th-round pick for Rudolph, and then, we go with the young guys.
I'm not opposed to that, Dominic. Thanks for the call. I would want to see some of these young guys play, and I think the whole process is about evaluation. You can look at a guy at, practice every single day. You can watch a guy. in preseason games, at training camp. And until you actually see him under the bright lights that is a regular season game, you really don't know what you have. And, you know, the Steelers are in a situation where I would believe this is Rodgers' last year, right? If he comes back again, I mean, we're just kicking that can down the road as far as possible. I think they have to figure this out. And one of the big ways you can do that is get a good idea of what Will Howard or what Drew Aller can do. But for that to happen, Rodgers is either going to have to be yanked because he's not playing well or get injured. And I hate to see that happen. So we'll see. Steve in Cecil Township. Hey, Steve, how are you?
Well, how you doing, Bob?
Good.
I just want to know, maybe Kelly wanted to borrow my great-grandfather's crystal ball because it'll probably do a lot better than his analytics.
Are you referring to anything specific from tonight?
I mean, right now, last I checked, it was still tied 6-6. It was going into the bottom of the 10th, so I don't know.
Well, I didn't like the fact that he bailed on his starter so quickly.
I just...
So Cardinals win apparently, 9-6. Jared Burton, our producer, is just telling us that game is now over. They must have hit a home run or something. Let me check for you. And it looks like, yes, Herrera hits a home run, 3-run home run. So there you go. Pirates are now 0-5 against St. Louis, and that's one. Again, the bullpen. Who was pitching, Jared? Could you tell me who was in the 10th? Mason Montgomery. So that's what I'm talking about. Tonight, Montgomery gives up 3 runs in less than an inning. The only guy who did okay was Soto in the bottom of the 9th. Before that, Bidwell gave up a home run to Alec Burleson. And before that, Evan Sisk gave a home run to Gorman. So your bullpen, once again, is not getting the job done. And yet, to me, Don Kelly should have stuck with his starter. He didn't have all that many pitches. He goes 5 2/3 innings. Come on now. He's better than your bullpen. Your bullpen needs to be fixed. They've got to figure something out. And if you keep relying on them to the point now where, here we go, 4 guys used tonight or whatever it is, and they got 3 more games, or actually 1, 2, 3, 5 more games until this week, and then 4 against the Cubs right in a row. They're not going to have much of a break here. Let your starters go a little bit longer. I think that's the prudent way to go at this point, especially someone like Mitch Keller, who's been around for a long time. He's the one guy who you can hopefully count on to eat some innings. These other guys are younger. You may be more willing to get them out early. Not Mitch Keller. He should have stayed in tonight. Let's go to Noah in Pittsburgh. Hey, Noah, how are you? Noah. Hello, Noah. Go ahead.
Oh, yep. I can hear you.
All right, go ahead.
What is the deal with the relievers right now for the Pirates? Like, we had finally 1 good inning from Soto, but after that, we give up a walk-off 3-run home run like that. I don't understand what we can do to make them better.
That's a good question. I mean, replace them if that's the case. You know, if they're not getting the job done, then you got to make moves. That's as simple as that. It's incumbent upon Ben Cherington. I don't think he can wait until the trade deadline to do this. They could be in big trouble by then. As I said, this 10 games is going to be tough. Now they're 0-1, 5 in a row losses to St. Louis. These are division games. On a night where Cincinnati won, on a night where Milwaukee won, you keep doing this, you're going to find yourself 8, 9, 10 games out. And they're not the kind of team that can dig out from that. So they got, you know, I think Majinski eventually has to go to the bullpen once Jared Jones comes up. And I believe there's one more start in a rehab for Jones, and then he should be up here. But you got to be cautious with him, too, with the pitches. That's why, again, I reiterate, Mitch Keller should have been kept in the game today. There was no reason to bring him out. 5 2/3 innings, go with the guy, especially when you know your bullpen has been awful of late. Al in West Mifflin joins us right now on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Hey, Al.
Hey, Bob, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I'm so burned up right now. I can't believe the way that Soto threw in the 9th inning. Leave him in there. He struck out the side in about 12 pitches, and he brings Montgomery in. Save him for the 11th inning in case you score in the 10th inning. What the heck is Tom Kelly doing? That guy overmanages, and I think this is about the 6th game he's won with his stupid managerial decisions.
Well, I would agree with that. I'm down here. I haven't watched, the last inning or so because we were doing this program. But from what you described, Soto was very effective. Again, get him out there for a couple of innings. Again, if you start going through guys who have not been effective, and Montgomery's had his ups and downs, Santana has not been good. If he's 12 pitches, 3 strikeouts, keep him in for another inning. I totally agree with that. Let's go to Mike in Columbus, Ohio. Hello, Mike. How are you tonight?
Doing great. Not happy about the Pirates. Okay, I've been a Pirates fan since I was 10 years old back in the late 60s, and I'm calling for it. If you want to make the playoffs this year, fire Don Kelly If you don't want to make him, you keep. You've got to shake up the team.
Listen, Mike, I think it's too early for them to do that, although I will cite this for you. The Philadelphia Phillies are a team that fired their manager when they were 8-18. And this is a team they've invested a lot of money in Philadelphia. This is a team that they expect to win. So if the results aren't there, they're going to make moves. The Pirates are not yet to that level where they, I don't think, expect to win. They say they do, but they got to show it. And they just signed Kelly, so I don't think that's going to happen realistically here. And nor would I do it right now. What they have to do is figure out a bullpen, and that's incumbent upon Ben Cherington and his staff to figure out these guys. They brought in a bunch of guys, if you look at their history, have been DFA'd quite a bit. They're not exactly high-end relievers who've had consistent resumes for long periods of time. So that's the thing they got to deal with. One more call, and then we'll go to a break, and that would be Mark. Joins us on line 3. Hey, Mark, go ahead.
Hey, Bob, I just was wondering if you think that Donnie Kelly is just Derek Shelton 2.0 in the way he manages the bullpen staff. I know they're a lousy bullpen this year, but
well, that's all the more reason, Mark, not to keep using it as quickly as he does. If it's that lousy, again, I'll trust Mitch Keller before I trust Evan Sisk or Brandon Bidwell. I mean, you just can't do that. Both those guys 3 of their 4 relief pitchers gave up runs again tonight. Their relief pitchers gave up 5 runs. So it's no good right now. So if you have a pitcher who's a starter and only less than, 73, 83, I forget what he had. He had far fewer pitches than he should be allowed to get. Just keep him in there and trust him. Got to go to a break. 412-575-2600. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. All right, welcome back. We have one more call to get to before we bid adieu. It'll be Bob in Derry. Go ahead, Bob. How are you?
Yeah, good, Bob. Listen, I agree with you about Kelly. Should have left Keller in there a bit longer. The other thing he did was really bad. In the 9th inning, with the bases loaded, he lets Ozuna hit.
Yeah, I mean, Ozuna doesn't just, in those situations, if you have somebody better, they're paying him a lot of money, he's expected to come. I understand that. He has to start. He's a slow starter, but he's batting 180. They got a double play. And again, Ozuna got bailed out because Horwitz came up with a game-tying single at the time. But my bigger problem is when you go to a bullpen that you know stinks right now, and quite frankly it does, everybody who came in that game, with the exception of Soto, gave up a home run, right? It was Sisk, it was Bidwell, it was Montgomery. They all gave up home runs, including the 3-run game-winning walk-off by Ivan Herrera. Pirates lose again. They're in last place all by themselves. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for joining us on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. See you tomorrow.